Hi, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this exclusive video series on Adaptable HR. The future is now. Brought to you by People Matters in association with Allied Solutions. I'm Esther Martinez. I'm the CEO and Editor in Chief at People Matters, and I'll be your host for this conversation today. It's my privilege to bring to you some of the key findings from Asia Pacific's largest study on state of HR transformation conducted by Allied in partnership with People Matters, and talking to leading CHROs on what adaptable really means to them into this context. For all uncertainty and ambiguity that we are going through about the future, one thing is really clear, and the reality is that future is for the adaptable. And HR in particular is about helping the organization navigate through the ever-changing business and operating environment. The third edition of the Allied State of HR Transformation focus on this very theme, adaptable HR, as talent and community at large face unprecedented situation triggered by COVID-19 pandemic. So being adaptable is no longer a choice, it's truly inevitable. The question is, how do we change? The report provides guidance frameworks to think through these opportunities, and also through these conversations, we want to bring CHROs from the region to understand what adaptable means to them and how they're accelerating this journey. Today's episode, it's my privilege to welcome Jason Ho, Executive Vice President and Head Group HR at OCBC, and Shashwat Kumar, Vice President, Asia Head Advisory Payroll and Cloud for Allied Solutions. So as I welcome them, I'll also give a little brief about them as well. So Jason joined OCBC in 2013 as Head of Asset Liability Management, and he transitioned to the role of HR in 2015. He brings over 30 years experience in banking, and he needs no introduction truly either in the banking space or in the HR space. It's a pleasure to welcome you, Jason, to this conversation.
Esther, thank you very much for the introduction. You made me feel very senior now in terms of age and in terms of experience, but I will take it as a compliment. Thank you very much.
Very warm.
It's good to see you. It's good to see you, yes.
Good to see you as well. We have Shashwat Kumar as Vice President Asia Head for Advisory Payroll and Cloud at Allied. Shashwat brings a tremendous experience advising numerous Fortune 500 corporations on HR service delivery, transformation, shared services, offshore, change management initiative. In his previous role, he heads APAC for HR transformation practice at Aon. And for over a decade, he's been developing toolkits, methodologies to deliver cutting-edge solutions for clients. And I think in many ways, he is actually the creator of HR transformation as a practice. So thank you, Shashwat, and for being with us this morning.
Thanks, Esther. Look forward to this discussion with Jason and his insights.
Wonderful. Thank you. So what we've done is we've requested Shashwat first to share a briefing about the Allied State of Transformation study. And then we will kind of bring it back to Jason's applicable conversation into how does it really translate into his own experiences. So we'll try to pick up some of the elements of the study and then try to see how they come alive in the particular example of OCBC. So over to you, Shashwat.
I will briefly set the context on what adaptability means to us and how we look at it from a research perspective. And then we will get into really a pause where I will request you to look at areas where we can deep dive into the various themes and unpack them. So that's really how I will construct that. Thanks. Yeah. So Jason, I will not spend much time explaining Allied. The context which we really want to emphasize from an Allied's perspective, and you know Allied very well, you know our history, is really the fact that HR transformation is core to who we are. And that's why we continue to understand the journey of HR transformation for clients, for the market, and for the region overall. And we want to learn from it and contribute to that.
Okay.
So Jason, this actually sets the context of beyond research. If you look at what's happening today, through the whole COVID crisis, HR has been focused on enabling business outcomes through continuity of operations and then has been very nimble about it. If you really look at what's further on, HR has focused on employee sentiments, well-being, and has been very agile about understanding the inputs, recalibrating things. There has also been a lot more collaboration which HR has done within HR itself, with business leaders, and I will also say with industry and community. In many ways, what has happened now amplifies what's needed longer term. It's, and if you, your input here will be great, but as we have talked to multiple clients and people we work with, some of the research participants, HR has certainly gained equity through the whole crisis of COVID and how they have led in this crisis. Now the question was, is it really a temporary thing or it's going to happen? Over last 2-3 cycles of study, we did see that expectations from HR was changing, and it's changing across dimensions of business changes. It's changing around org and jobs getting changed, and it's a lot to do with automation, new technologies. Even business disruptions will change org and job, and also the talent experience and aspirations are changing. And all these three demands, if you put together, essentially HR needs to be adjusting all the time, and that's where the construct of adaptability from research, and we simply put, we said that it's HR's ability to sense and adjust to new conditions all the time. And as we started defining it and looking at what really makes this come alive, the first thing was commitment to outcomes. And we said it's different from commitment to outcomes because we looked at what organization needs from HR, and outcomes itself does not give you success. It's the joint commitment between business and HR which will enable you to succeed. Also, this outcomes and value needed from HR is something which will be adjusted all the time, and hence you need to recommit to it with every change. The other expectation which business has from HR is how HR needs to be focused on driving adoption at heart, which means it's different from program deployment. Look at deploying program in a way where you are keeping the end adoption as the goal day one, and you ensure that. And the third piece was navigating to the future. We looked at it differently in many ways and said it's different from people analytics because it's not about data. It's about the subset of data which can enable you to be faster in navigating through your talent strategy and enabling those outcomes, and hence the word navigating to the future. So these were the three expectations, and to really deliver on them, we said you need to look at three disciplines. Discipline of new way of doing design, which works across various silos in HR, and really integrates. Experience as a discipline in HR will mean again putting customer at the center of it, and also willingness to adjust all the time. And the third discipline from our perspective was discipline of governance. And this is different from discipline of compliance. So as we say governance, it's ability of business and HR working together to do ongoing problem solving. So that's really the construct of adaptability. And then we looked at, if this is the construct, does data differentiate? So, and Jason, really to us, the big thing was different kinds of organizations did score low, but we started seeing improvements as organizations defined their HR operating model. We see even bigger difference when they had their HR operating model and HR technology working well together. And this to us was bridging the digital divide, because we have across 3 cycles of study, it's very clear that digital success is combination of technology and HR changing together. So that was the big jump. And you see that while the pattern of scoring is still similar, there is overall a substantial jump also on the efficiencies bit within HR. Then we said, but what's really pulling organizations forward? And then we looked at a sub-segment of organization where they had their HR operating model in place, HR tech strategy in place, but these were the organizations who were also highly satisfied with their technology. We saw the score going up further, but we also saw the change in pattern. So these are where the organizations who were navigating to the future with much more confidence. And late, if you look at the report data, there is also a very defined discipline of why they are doing this better. So they are putting governance of HR, which is HR talking to business, then HR problem solving within HR, then going back to business as a central discipline. And that's what is changing the game for them. And we call this the discipline divide. And to our understanding, that's central to changing the way of working in HR, and that changes the outcomes from HR. So that's one view. We actually said if that's the case, these organizations will be focused on different set of outcomes. So that's where when we looked at this data and when you look at this slide, I will request you to look at it from left and right perspective. So literally the middle dotted yellow line divides the organizations who have overcome the digital divide. So these are the organizations who have put their HR operating model in place, who have a tech strategy which is aligned to that HR operating model. So they are doing all the activities on the left hand side of the chart. But what it does to for them, it frees up their time. So they are able to strategically address issues like cultural alignment, pace of innovation for business, de-risking of critical roles, managing employee experience and aspirations, which other larger cohort of organizations are unable to do. Interestingly, these are the organizations who also are doing better on the efficiency drivers because they have bandwidth and they have capabilities in place to absorb new disruptions in HR and keep pace with it. When we look at data in detail, these organizations also tend to do way better on robotics and newer technology adoption because you need a stable operating model with knowledge and discipline to really leverage and benefit from these new tools. So to us, this re-emphasizes the whole value of adaptability. And then we said, okay, if that's really one dimension of data, are their readiness to address from an action orientation perspective, is there again a difference? And we saw the same difference come through. And if I project this data with another sub segment type, which is the outlier organizations I was talking earlier, the difference will be even more stark. So all this together, Jason, did kind of close the discussion for us that adaptability, when comes true in HR, it starts really differentiating both from efficiency and business impact perspective. And then that's where our first point, that focus of HR transformation is all about enabling business transformations. Today, when we talk to any big client, including an organization like yours, typically you will have 8, 10, or even more business transformation projects on. And then it's HR's impact in enabling success of those bigger transformations and help them run faster and execute them better. That's really the core to what HR transformation will be all about. So that's where I will pause, Jason, and look forward to your inputs, comments, and then areas where we need to get into. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Shashwat. Thanks so much for. And I know there is so much of data and there is so much of insights from the report that it's just so difficult to just share 15 minutes. But I think the way that you have given the context about how adaptable HR is, that shift between HR outcomes to business outcomes, from programming and program mindset to really adoption, and from the now to navigating the future. And it's really helped the context for this conversation on how we're bridging the gap of digital divide and discipline divide.